Failed man becomes the king with 100 plus queens in a parallel world. A man being forcefully pushed into a cave while he is being decorated with food. The man is left inside the dark cave scared and alone. At least that's what he thinks. Soon, we see a giant tyrant who is growling and ready to eat the man. The tribe people have to provide for the tyrant so he doesn't eat them all. One of the tribe members predicts that the greatest magician of all time will come from another world and save them from the tyrant. The scene cuts as we see multiple moons. Now, we see Remy who is performing a magic trick on his two children. His wife comes to call the children for a bath, but Remy feels something weird when the couch he is sitting on sinks down. He ignores it. Later, while eating dinner, his wife lets him know she has to go to Barcelona. He is not happy that the NGO is relying so much on her. While watching a movie, same thing happens with Remy. He starts sinking down the couch. He sits down and talks to his wife. They both talk about work. Meanwhile, the tribe is still continuing their ritual and trying to call their savior from another world. While sleeping, Remy tries to perform lovemaking with his wife, but she stops saying she is tired. He reminds her she is being tired for the last 1.5 months. Remy jumps out of his bed scared and looks at the mattress. In the morning, Remy is having breakfast with his friends, just when a lady approaches him for a job. She has a painting that needs to be restored. But his wife stops by and leaves the kids with him. He tries to tell her he is very busy, but still she leaves them. While working, Remy sees his kids are painting each other's faces. He stops them and washes their faces. They all leave with his wife, but he forgets to turn off the water tap. He is devastated the next day as all his work is drowning. Just while arguing with the man, he gets sunken down in the water and comes up into another world. He sees the tribal people who start running toward him. Scared, Remy gets pulled down once again and comes up into his regular world. He comes out and meets the girl who gave him an order. He explains everything and tells her to meet him later. He comes home and vents out in front of his wife, who in return gives him heart-wrenching news. She likes someone else and wants to divorce him. Remy doesn't like this and goes to talk with the man himself. Remy looks at Antoine, who is a good-looking man. Remy gets awkward and leaves the house, agreeing to divorce. Remy goes to meet his family and tries to share his feeling and situation with everyone. But his family focuses on his cousin Simon. Remy, feeling left out, leaves and goes into the kitchen where the family cat stops midair. He soon realizes that everything has stopped and slowly gets sucked inside the floor. He once again enters another world where some people are preparing their meals. He tries to communicate with them, but it doesn't work and has to run away. He pulls out his phone and pretends to call the police. He keeps running from the people until he reaches the same cave from the beginning. He sees a monster and gets bitten. Remy keeps running and suddenly falls back into the regular world, crashing through the ceiling, destroying his parents' kitchen. His life gets hit harder when he is rejected for insurance and is threatened to be sued for safety violations. Just while defending himself, he begins to sink. After being rejected by his wife, friends, family, and bank, he finally appears in the other world where everyone cheers for him. He doesn't understand they are calling him the king. They ask him to fly, and if he can't they will drown him. He listens to them and jumps off, but gets slammed into the ground. The tribe feeds him the berry and Remy begins to understand everything they are saying. They lift him up as they say our savior will kill Zotin the cannibal. They take Remy to the roof and explain to him he has to kill the cannibal. He says he is not the man for this job and tells them to find someone else. They hold him upside down and force him to change his mind. They leave him in a room to rest when he picks up a melon and teleports back. He again meets Delphine, the girl who gave him a painting to restore. She says she was worried about him. He feels warmed and goes into a library. He tries to search for Zotin but gets nothing. He then comes home with gym equipment and self-defense books just in case. Remy again goes to another world where he agrees to save the tribe. After some time he asks them why can't they just leave the border. The elder tells him whoever leaves will get hit by lightning. Remy leaves and shows nothing happens. Everyone behind him follows. They keep walking until they come across some of Zotin's gangsters. Remy tries to intimidate them but the tall man threatens him. But somehow Remy is able to kill one of them. The tribe picks up the body and takes him away. Remy asks where are they taking him. The tribe members say they are going to eat him. Remy, upon listening to this, tries to stop them. Just then some people come running and say Zotin is coming with his army. The scene cuts and we see Remy in the library again, buying books to learn how to start a war. The manager tells him there is a gun store nearby. Remy asks if a bulletproof vest can stop spears. Later, we see Remy planning their war strategy. Even Zotin is ready to wage a war. Remy and others spy on Zotin's army and decide to stay high to have an advantage. Remy goes to encourage the troops. He gives them a good speech and makes them cheer. He also tells someone's wife to wait for him on the bed. He tells the husband to bring 4 women for him so he can relax before tomorrow's war. Later, he says to bring 6 girls. In the next scene, we see Remy surrounded by girls but he stops them saying he misses his wife Lucille. They ask if he wants something but later he shares his divorce and sad life. He says he needs to find his place in the world. Remy hears his son's voice and returns to the regular world. His son says he doesn't want him to leave the house and thinks he is responsible for everything. Remy tries to teleport back but it doesn't work, so he removes his vest and goes to sleep. When he wakes up, he gets up in the middle of the war where his people are dying. He somehow manages to reach his troops and regroups. He tells them to find bird feathers and a tree trunk for his plan. He begins to read the book and places the tree trunk in the middle of the desert at night. As the sun rises, he enters the Zotan's army and begins to slap them, trying to get their attention. He screams and yells before running towards the desert. He jumps into the tree trunk, avoiding the enemy's spears and arrows. Just then Remy's army from the top with their bows attack the enemies. Some arrows barely miss Remy. Remy's army does surprisingly well as Zotan has to flee the area. Time passes by as Remy builds an entire civilization with the knowledge he brings from his home. He helps his citizens to build new stuff like a medieval scooter. He also paints a Mona Lisa type painting of his mistress. He gets back home but his kids are not fond of his long beard. When his wife and her boyfriend come by, Remy goes to shave, saying it is fake. Remy has changed from his ruling days. When Lucille's boyfriend tries to intimidate him and says to leave the house, Remy gets angry. He pushes Antione around. He tries to find a job and says he has experience in construction and politics, but ends up getting a flyer job for an Indian restaurant. He can't accept this low-wage job and leaves. Remy comes back to the parallel world and meets his mistress. He tells her he is thinking about staying with her permanently. After sleeping with her, Remy goes out in public and starts giving orders. During a session, Remy avoids most of the concerns his citizens arise. He even arrests a person for telling him bitter facts. Most people are going to leave and join Zotan because they think they are overworking. Remy goes to talk to them but the people begin opposing and laughing at the king. Remy has to run away when everyone begins to chase him. Things go out of hand as he tells the elder to not call him back ever again. Remy goes to his friend Serge, who gives him a key to an empty studio. Remy goes to the studio and decides to fix the painting that he got from the lady. Lucille goes to pick up their kids from Remy's studio when we see Antoine standing outside scared of Remy. Lucille gives back his sword and says she misses him, but Remy says she is the one who left him. Just then Delphine comes into the shop and looks at her painting. Delphine asks how much the painting costs, but Remy denies to charge her anything and says this painting saves his life and career. But he says if she liked it so much she can ask him on a dinner date. Later, we see after dinner Delphine kisses Remy, but when she goes to kiss him again he gets sucked down. Remy sees the elder, who says each word of the prophecy is need to be followed and that Remy has to kill Zotan. Remy runs away but Zotan finds him. Remy finds a spear and with a good opportunity kills Zotan by piercing his heart. Zotan comes out walking slowly. He falls down as the elder starts cheering for the king. But the elder says now the last part is where the tribe will eat the king to get his powers. After listening to this, Remy starts running away from the tribe while the elder chants. Delphine tries to wake up Remy and calls for help. Remy keeps running away and tries to talk to Delphine but someone holds him. Delphine meanwhile is taking Remy to a hospital. Remy is captured by the tribe while his family is in the hospital. But some of Remy's loyal friends save him. He wakes up just when the doctors are wheeling him out of the room. He notices he has the same time and realizes he is finally in the same time zone. After coming out, he meets his family and introduces Lucille to Delphine. Delphine leaves while Lucille asks Remy to come home with him. She tells him she kicked out Antoine and that she loves him, but Remy is still hurt for what she did. She begs him to come home but he says he doesn't know and lets her go. The movie jumps 47 days where we see Remy in Barcelona. He meets his kids and sits beside Lucille. They talk and share a loving moment together, meaning they forgot their past and moved on. The scene cuts as we see the tribe people lifting Remy's statue as a tribute. And the movie also ends here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like it, please like the video and subscribe the Explanation Pro for upcoming videos.